But let's go to this. It was a big one. We talked about Calipari needing an off ramp, and there wasn't one. He needed out of Kentucky. He was going to have to go into one more season where the fan base was against him, a portion of it. Everyone was just going to sit around and wait to see if they could make a run in March, because anything less than a Final Four wasn't going to be good enough. I think all of that is fair. When you're coaching Kentucky, you can't be losing to Oakland and St. Peter's and having a 9-win season one year and not getting anything done. So all of this, I think, is fair. I think John Calipari would probably think it's fair. I think he understood and embraced that Kentucky job, and he was the perfect guy there for a long time, and then he wasn't. It's a hard place to last. But he needed an off-ramp. Arkansas was there. They got money. They care about basketball. They're going to give him the private jets and the NIL and all of that. Considering the options, I thought it was a pretty good deal for Cal. I get people were just stunned that anyone would jump from Kentucky to Arkansas. But he needed to go somewhere. I thought it was a pretty good deal. I think this could be win-win-win for everybody, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Calipari, but we'll see. Pat, your thoughts as a resident taxpayer of the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
It was a pragmatic move for John Calipari. It was also a repudiation of his vision of the program and his ability to execute that vision, because it stopped working a long time ago, 9 years ago. 2015 was the last Final Four, and since then, after they frankly blew a national championship with a stacked undefeated team, it's just been diminishing returns ever since. And for him to pull the ripcord says, I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't have the stomach for the fight. I don't have the plan. I'm out of here. Do I blame him necessarily? No, because Dan, as you pointed out, he needed to get out. And Kentucky fans wanted him to get out. So this is again, pragmatic move, but also underscores that, frankly, he had everything going his way and he blew it. He didn't adjust well enough to a changing times and changing game. He didn't coach well enough. He recruited plenty well enough, but he did not coach the players he got. He didn't build the rosters well enough, and it was time to go. And he might do well. You're right. This may turn out well for everybody involved. But when he's standing there calling the Hogs tomorrow, Tuesday, when this comes out, in awkward fashion, just remember, that's not really something he wanted to be doing. It's what he has to do.
A few days after the season, when they were upset, and there was some question, obviously, if he'd continue as the coach, if Kentucky would pay the buyout, which was what, 30 million or something like that, right? 33 million. And him and Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director, met, and then the next day they did this video that aired, and it was kind of this kumbaya video of we're all in this together, and then poof, right? How often we see these things happen. Of course, I think in football terms, and the move reminded me of and many people have pointed to this is Jimbo Fisher going from Florida State, having won a national title there and seen things dip, and then gotten hired in some big, massive contract by a program that in Texas A&M. I don't know if that's fair, but it certainly, you draw some similarities to it. Jimbo, I felt at that time, things were running out for him at Florida State. There's some other similarities there with the national championship and things kind of going sideways and the massive contract and all that. And the question, of course, is it going to end the same way for Jimbo? I'm sure, or for Cal. I'm sure Cal would take a $75 million check to go away and go move in your ranch.
I mean, it'll end with money. There's no one's getting
one way or the
here.
other. Yeah.
Go ahead, Pat.
No, yes, it will end with money. Does it end with any more glory? Does he have a reclamation run left in him? That remains to be seen.
I think he's got to run. He's got to run the program different. He's got to coach different. He's got to do things different. There's no question. Pat said he's had the talent. But it hasn't worked lately. That isn't how these teams are built anymore. We're just sort of listing off how UConn got there. It wasn't, they have one top 10 recruit. It's not, we just load up on McDonald's All-Americans and maybe get one transfer. It's like, no, we're getting guys from East Carolina and Maryland and this, and then we coach the hell out of them. And UConn's program is exponentially better than Kentucky's. Kentucky can't beat anybody in March. No one can even touch. It's probably like about an 10-minute stretch. Alabama was as good the whole tournament. That was it. So it's a totally different ball game. He's got to do things differently, without question. But he will bring a lot of excitement to Arkansas. He will bring players. They will win games. And I don't know what they're counting on at Arkansas. I don't have my finger on the fan base of Arkansas basketball, but this is a place where basketball matters. It started in the 70s with Eddie Sutton, who then became the Kentucky coach. This is the reversal. And Eddie Sutton made it clear the difference in pecking order back then by declaring, I would have crawled to Lexington for this job, right? And I think people in Fayetteville were a little hurt by that back in the day. It's old school grudges. They got their revenge here, I guess.
Yeah, they showed them.
They showed them 45 years later. R.I.P. Eddie Sutton.
There were some jokes about that being a 45-year trade in the making.
Yeah,
as the famous Bob Holt said, a coach to be named later, John Calipari.
Great line. It won a national title, Nolan Richardson, and we're an incredible program. Almost won another one. Got upset by UCLA. And then they made a couple of Elite Eights recently with Musselman, who takes off for USC. Crazy. Usually the dominoes on these jobs start when Kentucky opens and then it filters all the way down. The domino here started when SMU fired Rob Lanier.
Yeah. It's one of the craziest domino things of all time.
Raise your hand if you knew SMU employed Rob Lanier as its coach, okay? Go ahead and raise your hand right now. SMU's going to the ACC. They fire Rob Lanier, and then they get Andy Enfield from USC, which gets Musselman to go to Arkansas. This thing went uphill. Somehow it defied gravity. And then Kentucky, Calipari goes to Arkansas.
Well, let's take it further, Dan.
And Dan Hurley's supposed to go. No, yeah. Let's go even further.
Let's take it further. What if we said, does SMU fire its coach if it's not moving into the ACC next year? So then we go back on SMU joining the ACC, and how did SMU join the ACC? Well, it's because the Pac-12 fell apart. It all goes back to the Pac-12, Dan.
They'd only taken that TV deal.
No, what we basically we had three coaches pull the ripcord on jobs they didn't want to be in or couldn't feel like they could win anymore. Andy Enfield, oh man, I just had a lottery pick point guard and LeBron James's son. We didn't do shit. I'm out of here. Musselman's been dying to get out after a really bad year there. He's out of there. And then Calipari, Jack Golke shot John Calipari out of Lexington and sent him to Fayetteville.
What a weird domino that one was. Yeah. The solar eclipse of dominoes. Backwards. Everything's backwards. Yeah. Jack Gelke somehow involved.